Welcome to David's Stories. Today we follow Charles Powell, a devoted father and furniture magnate whose son's rushed wedding to manipulative Jessica Sparks' blackmail fraud and family betrayal. Charles fights to expose the truth, save his son, and reclaim their bond. Subscribe and hit the bell for weekly videos uncovering mysteries and truths. Share your thoughts below. Let's start the stories. I stood in the heart of the Phoenicians' grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers spilling light over 200 gold velvet chairs, white roses cascading like frozen waterfalls. The string quartet had just breathed the opening note of Canon in D when Jessica's voice, cold surgical, blasted through every speaker. "You're going to buy us that house full payment this week, or I tell everyone I'm pregnant with your child." The room froze. Kevin, my son, stood at the head of the aisle, black bow tie trembling like a leaf in autumn wind. Jessica, in her blinding Vera Wang gown, went ghost white and lunged at me, red manicured nails clawing my tuxedo sleeve. "Give me that," she shrieked, trying to snatch the tiny recorder from my hand. I simply raised it higher. The red light blinked steady, unyielding. "Arizona is a one-party consent state," I said, my voice calmer than the storm inside me. "Every word is legal." I turned to the sound technician, still paralyzed at the console hands hovering over the faders. "Play it again." From the beginning. Jessica's voice filled the hall once more, louder, crueler, slicing through the air like a blade. Kevin stared at me, then at his bride, then back at me. His eyes, the same eyes that once sparkled when he scored his first high school soccer goal, were hollow now, as if his soul had been drained. "Tell me you faked it," he whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. "Tell me this isn't real." Jessica opened her mouth. Nothing came but a practiced sob, mascara streaking down her cheeks like war paint. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Blackmail? Pregnant with his father. I don't remember walking out. I only remember the February Phoenix sun slamming into my face like a warning slap. The desert wind was dry, scorching, but it couldn't melt the ice forming in my chest. But that wasn't the beginning. That was just the moment everything shattered. Let me take you back to the day the phone rang and I still thought I was about to become a grandfather. It was a Thursday afternoon in February, the kind of quiet day when the Phoenix sun pours gold over everything and business hums without drama. I was at the Scottsdale showroom, fabric swatches scattered across my desk, burgundy navy charcoal squinting at them under fluorescent lights, trying to decide what would sell best for spring. The intercom had just clicked off when my personal line rang. Kevin's name glowed on the screen. He never called during work hours. "Dad, are you sitting down?" I chuckled, leaning back in my leather chair. "What's wrong, son?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's perfect." His voice cracked with excitement, breathless like a kid about to show off a perfect report card. "Jessica's pregnant. We're getting married. 2 weeks from Saturday." The burgundy swatch slipped from my fingers and fluttered to the floor. "Pregnant," I repeated the word, hanging in the air like it needed verification. "Kevin, that's wonderful." But inside my mind was already running calculations. Kevin hadn't mentioned Jessica before last month, just a casual, "I'm seeing someone over coffee." 3 failed engagements in his 20s. 5 years of dodging commitment like it was a disease. And now pregnant in a rush wedding. "I want you to meet her properly tonight," he said, words tumbling over each other. "Can we come for dinner?" I glanced at my watch. 3:15 p.m. Absolutely. 7 o'clock. After he hung up, I sat there staring at the ceiling and tiles. And my late wife used to say, "When your son calls during work, it's either disaster or love." She'd said it with a smile, the kind that came from knowing Kevin's heart was too big for his own good. I prayed it was love. I stopped at the market on Camelback. 2 ribeyes, 1 New York strip, asparagus, baby potatoes. Wine and Napa Cabernet, not too extravagant, but respectable. Something to honor the moment. At home, I pulled out Anne's china. Ivory plates with delicate gold rims, her grandmother's heirloom packed away since her funeral 8 years ago. If Kevin was starting a family, this deserved tradition. This deserved acknowledgement. I set the table carefully, hands moving through the routine while my mind raced. Kevin, my only child, the boy who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during Sunday football, who cried when his goldfish died, who once told me he'd never get married because no one could love me like you and Mom. Now he was going to be a father. In 2 weeks. The timeline felt compressed, rushed, but maybe that was just my old-fashioned sensibility. Ann and I had dated 3 years before marrying, different generation, different rules. I wanted this to work for him. I wanted it badly. I stood in the dining room looking at the table, 3 places. Candles unlit, Anne's china gleaming under the soft light. I could almost hear her voice, be happy for him. Charles, let him fly. But some instinct, honed over 40 years of reading, people closing deals, trusting my gut, when numbers looked perfect on paper but felt wrong, was whispering. I ignored it, for now. I told myself it was just nerves, wedding stress, first-time father jitters. I had no idea I was setting the table for a predator. They arrived at exactly 7 the way people do when they're trying to make a point about punctuality. Kevin burst through the front door first, vibrating with the same nervous energy I remembered from his childhood piano recitals. Hands half raised, shoulders tight, eyes darting like he was waiting for applause or disaster. Jessica followed gliding, controlled, deliberate. Her heels clicked against the saltillo tile like a metronome counting down to something I couldn't yet name. Dad, this is Jessica. She was striking. Dark hair and a sleek ponytail that caught the foyer light like polished obsidian. A black sheath dress designer, I'd bet my showroom on it, hugging curves in a way that felt less accidental than engineered. Her handshake was firm, almost aggressive, and her smile stayed on her lips without ever touching her eyes. Charles, Kevin talks about you constantly. Her gaze swept past me, already cataloging the living room, the furniture, the art on the walls. What a lovely home. Thank you. Please come in. Dinner's almost ready. Kevin hovered beside her like a moon in orbit, watching her reactions the way a stagehand watches a star. I led them to the dining room. Jessica's eyes locked immediately on the china cabinet. Anne's pride walnut with leaded glass, every piece inside a memory. Interesting pieces. Are these antiques? She was already pulling out her phone. Do you mind if I take a few photos? I love vintage design. Before I could answer, she was snapping the credenza, the grandfather clock, the cabinet itself. The flash popped like tiny interrogations. Kevin jumped in voice, bright with defense. Jess is really into interior design. She's got amazing taste. I'm sure she does. I escaped to the kitchen, grateful for the excuse. Something in her tone when she said antiques hadn't sounded like admiration. It sounded like appraisal. Dinner began pleasantly enough. I'd seared the ribeyes, medium rare, roasted the asparagus with garlic, plated everything on Anne's ivory china. Kevin asked about the business, updated me on his commercial real estate job, closing a strip mall lease, proud of the commission. But Jessica dominated with surgical precision. 4 stores, she said, cutting her steak into perfect squares. That must generate significant revenue. Kevin mentioned the numbers gross, not net the way proud sons do. She leaned in, fork suspended. What's the annual take for something like that? It varies, I said lightly, pouring more Cabernet. The economy hits furniture harder than people think. But you must do well. This neighborhood, the house, the business. She gestured with her fork a sweep that took in the crystal chandelier, the original oil painting above the buffet. You've built something substantial. Kevin shifted in his seat. Dad worked incredibly hard. Built it from one storefront in Tempe. Very impressive. Jessica sipped her wine, eyes never leaving me. We drove through Paradise Valley yesterday. Those estates are breathtaking. That is where I picture raising a family. Good schools, safe neighborhoods. Important for children, don't you think? The implication hung like smoke above the candles. Kevin focused on his plate, cutting his meat into smaller and smaller pieces as if the steak had personally offended him. Paradise Valley is expensive, I said, carefully tasting the words before letting them out. Of course, Jessica smiled, all teeth. But you can't put a price on a grandchild's future. Her hand covered Kevin's on the tablecloth. We're still figuring out our housing situation. My rental is impossible. The landlord won't fix anything. With a baby coming, we need proper space. Kevin finally spoke, voice soft. We're looking at places, Dad. Nothing fancy yet. Nothing fancy, Jessica echoed, but something safe. She turned to me, eyes wide and earnest. Kevin tells me you're very generous with family. That's rare these days. I took a long drink of water. Every instinct, honed over 40 years in business, was screaming. These weren't casual questions. This was reconnaissance. The rest of the meal followed the same pattern. She commented on the dining table solid mahogany custom built, then asked what something like that cost wholesale. Mentioned her student loans, then wondered aloud how Kevin's family handled financial planning for big life events. Complimented the house's square footage, then noted the rising cost of upkeep on older homes in the Arcadia district. Kevin barely spoke. When he did, it was to smooth her edges. What Jessica means is, or she's just excited about the wedding. He laughed too quickly, refilled her wine before she asked, watched her face the way a dog watches its owner for cues. At one point, Jessica excused herself to the powder room. Kevin leaned toward me, voice low. She's nervous, Dad. First time meeting you, she wants you to like her. I nodded, but my eyes followed her down the hallway. She paused at the study door open, just enough to glimpse my desk, the leather-bound ledgers, the framed photo of Anne and me on our 25th anniversary. She didn't go in, just looked, then continued on. When she returned, her smile was brighter, practiced. Dessert was store-bought tiramisu I'd been too distracted to bake. Jessica took one bite, set her fork down. Charles, this has been lovely. Kevin said you were a wonderful host. She folded her napkin precisely. We're so grateful you're part of this. The baby, it means everything to us. Her hand rested on her flat stomach. No bump, no glow, just a performance. Kevin's eyes shone with something I couldn't name, hope, maybe, or desperation. When they left at 10:30, Jessica hugged me at the door. Her perfume was overwhelming, something expensive and cloying. She leaned in close, voice a whisper against my ear. Thank you for being so understanding. Kevin talks about your generosity all the time. We're lucky to have you. Kevin's hug was quick, distracted. He seemed eager to leave to escape the weight of the evening. I watched their taillights disappear down the street. Jessica's head was already bent over her phone, the screen glowing blue in the dark. Inside, I cleared the table, slowly rinsing Anne's china by hand, though the dishwasher would have been easier. My hands moved through the familiar motions while my mind replayed every moment. The way she photographed my home without asking. The pointed questions about money, real estate generosity, Kevin's silence, his hunched shoulders, the way he avoided my eyes when she spoke. I told myself it was nerves, wedding stress, the pressure of impending fatherhood. But my gut, the same instinct that had saved me from bad partnerships, bad investments, deals that looked perfect on paper but felt wrong, was screaming. She wasn't seeing a family home where her child's grandfather lived. She was doing math. And Kevin, my brilliant, wounded, trusting son, was the variable she intended to solve for. I woke at 6 after 3 hours of fractured sleep. Every time I drifted off, I saw Jessica's face across my dining table, her smile that never reached her eyes, her phone flashing as she photographed Anne's china. The questions about revenue, Paradise Valley generosity, they looped like a bad film reel. The coffee maker gurgled while I stared at the chairs they'd sat in 12 hours earlier. The details wouldn't leave me alone, the way she'd paused at the study door, the way Kevin's shoulders had folded inward when she spoke. By 10, I was in my office at the Scottsdale showroom, inventory reports ignored. I opened LinkedIn and typed Jessica Simons Phoenix. Her profile loaded, polished professional. Spa manager at Desert Serenity Wellness Center. Photos at charity galas, glowing recommendations from clients. A post about empowering women through self-care. Legitimate, impressive even. I scrolled deeper. Older posts, comment sections, tags. Patterns emerged. 2 years ago, dinner at Bourbon Steak with my generous boyfriend. A photo of a candlelit table, a man's hand, older manicured, resting on hers. 3 years ago, photos at exclusive restaurants, different men in each frame. Comments from someone named Amanda kept appearing. Another rich one. You're so lucky, sis. Living the dream. Not another great guy. Not another keeper. Rich. That was the qualifier. My chest tightened. This felt invasive. Ugly. Like rifling through someone's diary. But Kevin was my son. My only child. If someone was targeting him, I needed to know. I opened Instagram next. Same handle. Hundreds of posts, sunsets and Sedona brunches, at the Henry, a weekend in Vegas with champagne flutes and a private jet emoji, designer bags, Louboutin heels, none of it screamed spa manager salary. One post from 6 months ago, A mirror selfie in a luxury apartment, caption, New Beginnings in Scottsdale. The complex name was visible in the reflection, Desert Ridge Luxury Residences. I knew the rent there, $3,200 a month minimum. Another post 4 months old, evicted from my dreams but stronger for it, tagged with a broken heart emoji. Then 2 weeks later, manifesting bigger and better. The timeline didn't add up. I scrolled to my contacts. Marcus Jennings, credit verification specialist. We weren't friends, but cordial, shared a golf league years ago. I dialed. Marcus, I need a favor. Unofficial. It's about my son's fiancée. He didn't ask why. Just give me her full name, DOB, last known address. I read from her LinkedIn. He promised a call back by end of day. I spent the afternoon pretending to work, moved furniture samples, answered emails, but my eyes kept drifting to the clock. At 4:30, Marcus called. Charles, this is off the record. Completely unofficial. You understand, I understand. Jessica Marie Simons. Current address, Tempe Recent. Previous Desert Ridge luxury residences in Scottsdale. Evicted 11 months ago for non-payment. Rent was $2,800 monthly. I wrote it down, handwriting, sharp pen digging into the paper. She's carrying $43,000 in credit card debt across 7 maxed cards. 2 collection agencies have filed legal actions. Started bankruptcy proceedings 8 months ago, never completed the filing. The pen stopped moving. Classic pattern, Charles. Living beyond means. Income doesn't match spending. Not even close. I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the numbers. 43,000. Evicted, lawsuits. None of it showed on social media. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, Sedona weekends. The pregnancy announcement. The rushed wedding. The Paradise Valley comments at dinner. She wasn't marrying Kevin. She was marrying access to money she thought he had. Or more accurately, money she thought I had. I pulled up Amanda's profile. Public. Comments on Jessica's posts going back years. Another sugar daddy? How do you keep finding these guys? Teach me your ways, Queen. Then 6 months ago, a private message screenshot Jessica had posted publicly. Why, Amanda? You sure this one's worth it? He seems normal. Jessica normal with a rich dad. That's the jackpot. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking. This wasn't paranoia. This was evidence. Kevin was being hunted, and I was the real prize. I called Kevin at 6:15 p.m. after the showroom closed, and the streets outside were painted orange by the setting sun. I'd rehearsed it in my head all afternoon, calm, rational, concerned father. Not interrogator. I even wrote bullet points on a legal pad credit report, eviction pattern, protect you. But the moment he answered, I knew the script was useless. Hey, Dad. His voice was light, distracted, probably cooking dinner with her. Son, we need to talk about Jessica. Have you checked her financial background at all? The line went dead silent, not even breathing. What? His tone sharpened instantly like a blade unsheathed. What are you talking about? I had someone look into her credit history. Kevin, she has over 40,000 in debt. Evicted from her last apartment. Collection agencies, you what? The explosion came like a physical force through the phone. You investigated her. You called in favors to spy on my fiancée. Kevin, listen to me. She has 7 maxed out cards, 2 active lawsuits, bankruptcy started and abandoned. This is serious. How dare you? His voice cracked with rage and something deeper, betrayal. Do you have any idea how controlling this is? I'm 35 years old, Dad. I don't need you vetting my life like I'm still in high school. I'm trying to protect you. These are facts. You can't stand seeing me happy. You never approved of anyone. Rachel, Michelle, Sarah. You found problems with all of them, picked them apart until I ended it. This isn't about approval. This is about a woman with a documented pattern of financial irresponsibility who suddenly appears pregnant and wants to marry in 2 weeks. You just can't stand me being happy with someone you didn't choose. His words came out ragged, wounded, years of resentment boiling over. You never could. I should have known you'd ruin this too. Kevin, don't call me again. Don't text. Don't come near us. The line went dead. I stood in my kitchen phone, still pressed into my ear, listening to the dial tone like it might say something back. Outside, the Phoenix sunset bled across the sky, orange, purple, indifferent. I pulled up Jessica's Instagram again. The latest post, a mirror selfie and workout gear caption, stronger every day. Building our future. Kevin's hand visible in the corner holding her phone. Likes pouring in. Amanda's comment. Goals. I opened my text. Type. Son, please call me back. Deleted. Kevin. I'm worried about your finances with the wedding. Deleted. I love you and I'm sorry. Deleted. Everything sounded controlling or pathetic. I sent nothing. 7 days of silence followed. 8 voicemails calm at first, pleading by the 4th, raw by the 7th. None returned. I drove past Kevin's Tempe apartment one night. Jessica's white BMW sat in his assigned spot like a territorial flag. The curtains were drawn, lights on, music faintly audible, some pop song about love and forever. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, engine off, watching shadows move behind the blinds. Kevin laughing, Jessica touching his arm. The life he thought was real. I started the engine and drove home. The house felt cavernous, Anne's absence sharper than ever. I poured a scotch, didn't drink it, just held the glass, watching the ice melt. I opened the legal pad again. At the top, Jessica Simons, What I Know. 3 pages later, I had a timeline, a pattern, a plan. Kevin wouldn't listen. That was clear. I had 2 weeks before the wedding, 2 weeks to find proof, 2 weeks to stop this before she destroyed my son. And if he hated me for it, then I'd carry that hate. Because fathers don't get to choose between being loved and being right. They just get to choose which one matters more. 7 days of silence, 8 voicemails calm, at first pleading by the 4th, raw by the 7th. None returned. I stopped leaving them after the 8th. The sound of my own voice begging had started to feel like self-torture. I drove past Kevin's Tempe apartment twice. Jessica's white BMW sat in his spot like a territorial flag. Once I saw them through the window, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her, laughing at something on TV. The image burned. Then the invitation arrived. Heavy cream cardstock, gold foil lettering, embossed monogram of their initials intertwined. Jessica Marie Simons and Kevin James Powell request the honor of your presence. The Phoenician Resort, Scottsdale. Saturday, February 22nd, ceremony at noon, black tie. I turned it over, no RSVP card, just a website, jessicaandkevinforever.com. Password protected. I typed it in. The site loaded like a luxury brochure, drone footage of the resort's golf course. A countdown clock, 12 days, 4 hours, 17 minutes. A gallery, Jessica in a Vera Wang gown, Kevin in a custom tux, both laughing against a desert sunset. A registry link, Crate and Barrel Williams, Sonoma Tiffany. Items starting at $200, a cash fund labeled Dream Home in Paradise Valley with a goal of $150,000. I clicked the venue tab, the Phoenician Grand Ballroom, premium orchid package. I knew the resort. Anne and I had celebrated our 25th there. The orchid package started at $80,000. Upgrades pushed past 6 figures. The math didn't work. Kevin's salary, $85,000 before commission. His savings, maybe 50% of the thousand if he had been disciplined. The loan I'd co-signed for his condo down payment was paid off, but that was years ago. I called the resort's events coordinator Monday morning. Voice casual, practiced. I'm inquiring about availability for my daughter's wedding. What does the Powell-Simons ceremony on the 22nd include, just so I know what to expect? The coordinator, bright eager, rattled off details like a proud parent. Oh, the Powell wedding is gorgeous. Premium everything. 12-foot floral arches with imported French roses, white and blush. Live string orchestra for the ceremony, 10-piece band for the reception. Open bar with top-shelf liquor. McKellen 18, Don Julio 1942. Chef's 5-course tasting menu for 200 guests. Lobster bisque, filet mignon with truffle, demi-chili and sea base. Dessert trio, chocolate souffle, creme brulee, wedding cake with 24-karat gold leaf. They spared no expense. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the notes I'd scribbled. $5,000 for flowers alone, $15,000 for the band, $20,000 for catering, $10,000 for photography and videography, drone included. The venue fee itself was $25,000, so total easily $120,000, maybe more. Kevin didn't have that kind of money. I called Marcus again. Charles, you owe me a steak dinner for this. Name the place. He called back Wednesday afternoon. Kevin maxed his savings, $47,000 gone for the wedding deposits. Took a personal loan, $35,000 at 18% interest. just for the reception venue and florist. And get this, he applied for a business line of credit last week. $50,000. Denied. Reason insufficient collateral. $82,000. Kevin's entire safety net plus debt that would take years to clear for a 4-hour event. I sat in my office blinds, half-drawn, the Phoenix sun slicing through like judgment. I opened the wedding website again, scrolled to the registry. The cash fund had $11,000 already. Comments. So happy for you, can't wait to celebrate. Names, I recognize Kevin's college friends, my cousins, business associates. They had no idea they were funding a con. I texted Kevin from a burner number I'd bought at a gas station. The wedding costs are insane. Let me help. No strings. No reply. I tried again. Thursday. Son, please. $120K for one day. You'll be in debt for years. Still nothing. Friday, I drove to the resort, stood in the grand foyer watching workers set up for another event. Gold chairs being arranged in perfect rows, floral arches half built, the scent of roses thick in the air. A coordinator recognized me from the call. "Mr. Powell, are you here for the final walkthrough? I played along. Just wanted to see the space." She beamed. "Your son's fiancé has exquisite taste." The orchid package with upgrades, she added Swarovski, crystal accents on the chargers. And the cake 6 tiers, hand-painted fondant edible gold. It's going to be stunning. I nodded, throat tight. Back home, I opened my laptop, searched Kevin's name in public records, found the loan documents filed electronically, $35,000 at 18%, monthly payment $150 for 5 years. He'd be paying for Jessica's fantasy long after she was gone. I closed the laptop, poured a scotch, drank half, poured it out. The invitation sat on the counter like evidence. 2 weeks had become one. The wedding was a ticking bomb, and Kevin was holding the match. Wednesday, 4:12 p.m. A text from an unknown number. "Charles, it's Jessica. We need to talk privately before the ceremony. It's important for Kevin's sake. Can we meet?" I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. My pulse thudded in my ears. This was a move calculated, timed. But toward what? My instinct screamed negotiation. The wedding was 4 days away. Deposits were locked. Kevin was drowning in debt. She needed leverage. I typed back, "When and where tomorrow evening? Your house. Kevin thinks I'm at my bachelorette dinner." 7:00 p.m. I didn't reply to me, just set the phone down and walked to the garage. From a lockbox under the workbench, I pulled a voice-activated recorder the size of a USB drive, 20-hour battery crystal clarity. I'd bought it years ago for board meetings. Never used it. Until now. Tested it in the kitchen. Read the newspaper aloud. Played it back. My voice clear, every syllable sharp. Whatever Jessica wanted, I'd have proof. Thursday, 6:55 p.m. I dimmed the living room lights, left one lamp on. Anne's china cabinet glowed softly. I wore a loose linen shirt pocket deep enough to hide the device. One click red light blinked once. Recording. 00 sharp. Her white BMW purred into the driveway. She stepped out in a soft pink cashmere sweater and hair, loose makeup, understated, calculated vulnerability. No engagement ring visible. Just a delicate gold bracelet catching the porch light. I opened the door before she knocked. "Charles, thank you for seeing me." Her smile was apologetic, practiced. "I know things have been tense." I gestured her inside. She accepted a glass of water, no ice. Sat on the edge of the couch, knees together, hands folded like a schoolgirl asking for extra credit. "I owe you an apology," she began, voice soft. "I was pushy at dinner. Wedding stress, you understand. I didn't mean to seem materialistic." I watched her performance. I'd seen it in negotiations, soften the target before the ask. "Kevin loves you so much," she continued. "This distance is killing him. I wanted to fix things before the wedding. Can we start over?" I nodded neutral. "I appreciate you coming, Jessica. I want Kevin to be happy." Relief flickered across her face, genuine or rehearsed, I couldn't tell. Then carefully, "There is one small thing. Kevin's stressed about money. The wedding cost more than we planned." She paused, letting silence do the work. I said nothing. "I wondered if you might help with our housing situation after the wedding. Just temporarily until we get settled. A down payment, maybe. Or co-signing." Kevin's credit took a hit with the venue loan, the test, probing willingness. We can discuss that after you're married, I said evenly. Let's focus on the wedding first. Her smile tightened just a fraction, not the answer she wanted. She leaned forward, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Charles, I know you think I'm after money, but I love Kevin. The baby changes everything. We just need a little help to start right. Still no mention of the $120,000 wedding. No acknowledgement of Kevin's $82,000 in debt. I stood. It's late. Kevin will wonder where you are. She rose slowly, smoothing her sweater. At the door, she touched my arm, light, deliberate. Thank you for listening. I knew you'd understand. Her perfume lingered as she walked to her car. Taillights vanished. I played the recording immediately, her voice crystal clear, every word damning. Tomorrow was the wedding. She'd asked for real then, and I'd be ready. Saturday arrived cold and bright, the kind of February morning that fools you into thinking winter exists in Phoenix. I'd slept 3 hours, spent the rest pacing, running scenarios in my head like a man rehearsing his own execution. The recorder was charged, tucked in my inner jacket pocket. One-party consent, legal, final. The Phoenicians spread beneath Camelback Mountain like a palace. Valets in crisp uniforms. Ice swans sweating in the sun. 12-foot floral arches dripping with French roses. I calculated $5,000 for flowers alone. 200 guests milled in the foyer. Kevin's college friends, my cousin's business associates who'd known him since diapers. All dressed in black ties, sipping mimosas, unaware they were extras in a con. My phone buzzed at 10:47 a.m. Guest lounge, second floor, east wing. 11:0 millions alone. J. I climbed the marble staircase. The lounge was empty except for a single table, 2 chairs, a window overlooking the golf course. Jessica entered at 11:03 in her wedding dress, Vera Wang, silk beading diamonds in her ears. She looked like a fairy tale princess, but her eyes were cold math. Charles, thank you for coming early. She closed the door softly. Kevin wishes you two weren't fighting. I want him to be happy. That's all I've ever wanted. She turned to the window, sunlight slicing across her veil. Then we should talk about how to make that happen. Permanently. Her tone shifted, business, no warmth. Kevin and I need a house. Paradise Valley. At least $850,000. Full payment. Jessica, that's I'm pregnant. We need proper space. You're a grandfather now. Surely that means something. I can help with a down payment. 15, maybe 20%. But full purchase? Her voice went arctic. The mask dropped. Here's what's going to happen. You buy us that house, full payment this week. And if you don't, her smile was broken glass. I tell everyone the truth. I'm pregnant with your child. Ice flooded my veins. That's absurd. No one would really. Who will they believe? A 63-year-old man or a pregnant 32-year-old bride? She stepped closer, perfume choking. I'll say you seduced me at dinner, sent inappropriate texts. When I rejected you, you sabotaged our wedding with fake reports. Kevin will never speak to you again. Your reputation, furniture magnate, preys on son's pregnant fiancée. Front page. Or you buy the house, play the generous grandfather, and everyone's happy. Your choice. 60 seconds. Silence suffocated the room. Then I spoke quiet and level. Jessica, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. Her smile faltered. I pulled out the recorder. The red light blinked. Every word from the moment you walked in. She lunged. Give me that. You can't. I stepped back. One-party consent. Legal. She followed, shrieking as I walked downstairs straight to the ballroom. Guests were seating, the quartet tuning. I found the sound tech at the console. Connect this. Play it now, full volume. Jessica rushed in behind me, veil askew, mascara running. Kevin appeared at the aisle's head, confused, bouquet in hand. Dad, what's happening? I pressed play. Charles, let's be practical. Kevin and I need a house. I tell everyone I'm pregnant with your child. 200 guests froze. The recording echoed off crystal chandeliers, every syllable crisp. Jessica's threats, my calm refusals, the pregnancy lie, the blackmail. When it ended, silence fell like snow. Kevin stared at Jessica. Tell me he faked that. She opened her mouth. No lie came, just a strangled sob. Guests whispered. Phones rose, recording the recording. Kevin looked at me, really looked. His face crumbled. You, you knew I tried to tell you. Jessica grabbed his arm. Baby, he set this up. He's jealous. Kevin pulled away, slowly, like waking from a trance. The officiant cleared his throat. Shall we proceed? No one moved. Kevin dropped the bouquet, white roses scattered across the marble. He walked past Jessica, past the guests, past me, out the side door. I followed. In the parking lot, he leaned against his car, hands shaking. Dad, I sued you. I called you dead to me. For her. I know. I sold everything. I'm broke. I have nothing. You have me. He looked up, eyes red. I don't deserve you. You're my son. That's non-negotiable. Jessica stormed out, veil trailing like a surrender flag. Kevin, we can fix this. It's just money. He didn't look at her. She hesitated, then fled to her BMW. Tires squealed. Kevin hugged me hard, desperate. The first real hug in months. Then he pulled back. I need space to figure out who I am without her. I nodded. Take all the time you need. He got in his car, drove away. I stood in the empty lot, recorder still warm in my pocket. The wedding was over before it began, and my son was gone. The ballroom emptied like a theater after a tragedy. Gold chairs stood in perfect rows, untouched. Champagne fountains still bubbling. A waiter approached, voice trembling. Sir, can I bring you anything? I shook my head. He vanished. I sat in one of those velvet chairs surrounded by $120,000 worth of flowers in silence. My phone vibrated constantly, texts from friends, family witnesses. I didn't read them. I just stared at the scattered white roses on the marble floor, petals bruised where Kevin had dropped the bouquet. I drove home in a fog. The house felt cavernous. Anne's absence sharper than ever. I poured a scotch, didn't drink it. Just held the glass, watching the ice melt. Sunday morning, 03 a.m. A text from Kevin's number. I'm not your son anymore. Jessica and I are moving forward together. Don't call, don't text. You're dead to me. I read it 3 times. Each word carved in stone. My thumb hovered over a reply, I love you. I'm sorry, let me explain. But I knew it would only feed the fire. I set the phone face down. By noon, a friend forwarded Jessica's Instagram post. No makeup selfie, eyes red from crying hair in a messy bun. Caption, heartbroken doesn't begin to cover it. Kevin's father sabotaged our wedding because he couldn't accept someone loving his son. He recorded a private conversation, edited it to make me look terrible, and destroyed the happiest day of my life. To everyone asking, yes, Kevin and I are staying together. Real love survives attacks. Still standing. Family. Over everything. 347 likes in 2 hours. 89 supportive comments. Names I recognized, mutual acquaintances. Kevin's old coworkers, even my cousin Linda. Some comments differed, I was there. That recording sounded unedited. Didn't she threaten blackmail? But they were buried under Jessica's choir. Amanda's comment topped the thread. You're so strong, sis. He'll never break you. I scrolled further. A GoFundMe link in her bio. Help us rebuild after sabotage. Honeymoon and new start. Already at $4,200. I closed the app. My hands shook. Monday, I went to the showroom, tried to work, couldn't. Sarah, my manager, found me staring at a leather sectional like it held answers. Powell, are you okay? I told her everything. She listened without judgment, then said quietly, my sister went through something similar. The ex posted lies for months. Eventually people see through it, but it takes time. The one thing Kevin wouldn't give me. Tuesday, another post from Jessica's sunset photo, her silhouette against the desert, Kevin's arm around her waist. Caption, some people try to tear love apart, but we're building something stronger. Thank you for the support. Baby Powell coming soon. Hashtag unbreakable, no bump, no ultrasound, just theater. Comments poured in. So inspiring. You deserve happiness. That man should be ashamed. I forwarded everything to Richard Clark, my attorney. His reply, she's building a narrative. Let her. The truth has metadata. Her story doesn't. Wednesday. Kevin blocked my number. I discovered it when my call went straight to voicemail. His voice, once warm, now replaced by a generic tone. I drove to his apartment, knocked. No answer. Jessica's BMW was gone. A new note taped to the door. No trespassing. Management has been notified. I stood there, fist raised, to knock again, then let it fall. Thursday, a letter arrived, certified mail. From Kevin's handwriting, but the words weren't his. Cease all contact. Any further attempts will be reported as harassment. K and J. I folded it neatly, placed it in the drawer with Anne's funeral program. 2 losses, 1 grave, 1 living. Friday, I sat on the patio at dusk. The sky bled orange and purple, beautiful and meaningless. I opened my phone one last time. Jessica's latest story, a video of her crying in Kevin's arms, his back to the camera. We lost our dream wedding, but we still have each other. That's enough. I closed the app, powered off the phone. She was winning the internet. But the internet wasn't my son, and my Kevin was still in there, somewhere. I just had to wait for the truth to outrun the lie, even if it took years. Monday, 10 days after the wedding that never was. I was at the flagship store on Camelback, pretending to review spring catalogs while my mind replayed Kevin's text on loop, "You're dead to me." The showroom smelled of new leather and citrus polish, but it felt hollow. Sarah had given me space all morning. Even the delivery driver spoke in whispers. At 11:47 a.m., a woman approached the custom sofa display. Early 60s, gray bobs, simple slacks, cardigan despite the heat. A library book under one arm, The Gift of Fear. Tired eyes, kind mouth. Something in the cheekbones tugged at memory. Mr. Powell. I stood. Yes. She extended a hand. Barbara Collins, Jessica's mother. Could we speak privately? Suspicion flared like a struck match, another trap, a plea for money, a threat. But her eyes were direct, sad, genuine, no performance. I led her to my office, closed the door. She sat, took a breath that seemed to carry 20 years of weight. "I owe you an apology," she began, and possibly an explanation. She'd seen the wedding video online. A friend had sent it with the subject line, "Is this your daughter?" She'd watched it 3 times alone in her townhouse, volume low, so the neighbors wouldn't hear Jessica's recorded threats. "I've watched my daughter manipulate since she was 16, Barbara said, voice steady but soft. Boyfriends, teachers, employers, even me. She stole $12,000 from my savings 3 years ago, claimed it was for rent and textbooks. I reported it to the police, then dropped the charges when she cried in the station and said I was abandoning her. She folded her hands in her lap, knuckles white. She's done this before. Other men. I didn't know details, but I knew the pattern. Relationship ends abruptly. Suddenly she has new furniture, a new car, a trip to Cabo. Then silence until the next one. Why tell me this now? I asked. Because you tried to protect your son and he rejected you for it. I know that pain. Her voice cracked just once. Jessica pushed me away years ago. She only contacts me when she needs money, an alibi, or a character witness. Last month she asked me to lie to Kevin, say I'd seen the pregnancy test. I refused. She hasn't spoken to me since. She reached into her purse, pulled out her phone. I saw her text with Amanda last night. She left her iPad at my place weeks ago. Still logged in, she slid the phone across the desk. Screenshots glowed. Jessica Kevin's broke now. But his dad's loaded. The recording is a problem, but I can work around it. Get Kevin to sue Charles for emotional damages. Split whatever we win, Amanda. You think Kevin will sue his own dad? Jessica? He'll do whatever I tell him. He's isolated from everyone but me. Classic daddy issues. I felt the air leave my lungs. You're giving this to me, I said slowly. Why? Barbara met my eyes. Because I failed as a mother somewhere. I don't know where, but I can't watch her destroy more lives. You have resources to fight back. Kevin's in danger even if he doesn't see it. She stood. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just don't let her take him completely. I walked her to the door. She paused, hand on the knob. For what it's worth, Mr. Powell, your son is lucky to have you, even if he can't see it yet. After she left, I sat at my desk staring at the screenshots. Barbara's number was saved under B. Collins. No emoji, no label, just truth. I forwarded everything to Richard Clark. His reply came in minutes. This is gold. Pattern plus intent. We countersue if they file. Call me. But I didn't call. Not yet. Instead, I texted Barbara. Thank you. Coffee tomorrow. My treat. Her reply. I'd like that. Tuesday, 9 a.m. A quiet cafe on Scottsdale Road. She arrived in a linen blouse, no makeup library book swapped for a small notebook. We ordered black coffee for me, chamomile for her. We didn't talk strategy at first. We talked loss. She told me about Jessica's father gone when Jessica was 8, remarried to a woman with money and no patience for stepchildren. How Jessica learned early that charm opened doors tears couldn't. I told her about Anne, the cancer, the 8 years since, how Kevin had pulled away after the funeral, convinced I'd moved on too fast when I hadn't moved at all. Barbara listened the way people do when they've carried silence for years. I used to think if I loved her enough, she'd change, she said. But some people aren't broken. They're built that way. I nodded. Kevin thinks I'm the villain. Jessica's convinced him I'm jealous, controlling. Barbara's hand covered mine just for a second. Warm, real. You're not the villain, Charles. You're the only one still fighting. We made a plan. Quiet, methodical. She'd monitor Jessica's iPad remotely. She still had access. I'd hire a PI, discreet, expensive, thorough. We'd document everything. No confrontation, just evidence. As we left, she touched my arm. This doesn't fix what's broken between you and Kevin, but it might keep him from losing himself completely. I believed her. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't alone in the fight. 3 manila folders arrived on my desk Thursday morning, delivered by a courier who refused to meet my eyes. The PI, Elliot Grant, had texted only read in private, call when done, no emoji, no pleasantries. I locked the office door, drew the blinds, and opened the first folder. Folder 1, Robert Greene, 45 tech executive, 2022 relationship, 6 months, trigger fake pregnancy, 8 weeks threat. Tell my daughter and ex-wife I assaulted you or pay $100K to go away quietly. Payment, $75,000 wired to Jessica's account. Outcome miscarriage 2 weeks later. Jessica vanished, a statement recorded. I had a 12-year-old daughter, custody battle. Reputation, I paid to make her disappear. Still see her face in nightmares. Bank records attached. Wire transfer time-stamped. Text Jessica. Send it today or I go to the police. I have bruises. Robert, please, I'll pay. Just leave my family alone. I felt bile rise. Folder 2, Michael Torres, 51 real estate investor, 2020. Relationship, 4 months. Trigger, fake assault claim plus pregnancy. Threat, $75K. Or I file charges and tell your partners you raped me. Payment, $50,000 cash delivered in a Nordstrom bag at a Starbucks outcome. Jessica moved to California for family support. Statement. She knew my divorce was ugly, knew my ex would use anything. I paid. Then she blocked me, bought a new Rolex the next week. Photos Jessica wearing that Rolex in an Instagram post dated 3 days after the payoff. Folder 3, David Chen, 48 restaurant chain owner, 2019. Relationship. 5 months trigger. You got me pregnant now. My landlord's evicting me. Threat $50K, or I tell your wife in the health department, you gave me an STD. Payment $30,000 in installments. Outcome. Jessica lost the baby after final payment. Ghosted statement. She cried in my restaurant office. Said she had nowhere to go. I believed her. Then I saw her in Vegas with a new guy, same story. Total extracted $155,000 in 5 years. I closed the folders. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Elliot had included a summary page, clinical merciless pattern analysis, target selection, men 40 to 55, divorced, separated, established wealth, family reputation to protect. Entry, charm, shared trauma, abusive ex, financial struggle. Escalation, rapid intimacy, pregnancy, claim no proof shown. Leverage, threat to family, career, or legal system. Extraction, cash or wire, always under $100K to avoid federal reporting. Exit, miscarriage or sudden move. Kevin Powell fits profile perfectly. Access to father's wealth, emotional vulnerability, post-mother's death. I called Elliot. He answered on the first ring. You read it, every word. Silence. Then your son's not the first. Won't be the last unless she's stopped. How sure are you, bank records? Text, victim statements. One guy, Robert, still has the fake ultrasound she showed him, printed on photo paper from Walgreens. Date stamp matches a day she was at a spa in Sedona. I leaned back in my chair. The room tilted. Elliot, she's got Kevin suing me. $500,000. Emotional distress. A low whistle. Classic escalation. She's cornered. Needs a big score to vanish. What do I do? Give me 2 more weeks. I'll get the victims to talk on record. Then you bury her in court. I hung up, opened the folders again, stared at Robert's face, successful, hollow-eyed, ashamed. Michael's once confident, now guarded. David smiling in an old headshot, now just tired. 3 men, 3 lives, $155,000. And Jessica had walked away richer, untouched. I thought of Kevin selling his condo, quitting his job, wiring his life savings for a wedding that was never about love. I texted Barbara PI report came. It's worse than we thought. Coffee tomorrow. Her reply was instant. I'll bring the iPad. Friday, 8 a.m., same cafe. Barbara arrived with dark circles, a flash drive, and a steadiness I envied. She slid the drive across the table, Jessica's iPad backup. She never logs out. Photos, notes, even a spreadsheet, targets, and takeaways. Kevin's listed, projected 250 kelps via lawsuit or house. I stared at the drive like it was radioactive. Barbara's voice dropped. There's a note about you. Charles resistant. Use Kevin's guilt. If lawsuit fails, fake embezzlement for those from old business investment. My blood ran cold. She's planning the next move already. Barbara nodded. She always has a plan B. I slipped the drive into my pocket. Barbara, thank you for all of this. She looked at me, really looked. I didn't do it for you, Charles. I did it for the boy who still calls you dad in his sleep. I heard him once when they stayed over. He was dreaming, said, I'm sorry, Dad. I couldn't speak. She stood, touched my shoulder. Stop her, for both of them. I drove to Elliot's office that afternoon, handed him the drive. Get it all. Make it airtight. He nodded. 2 weeks. Then we end this. I walked out into the Phoenix heat. The sun burned, but for the first time in months, I didn't feel cold. Jessica had hunted 3 men before Kevin. She'd never met a father who wouldn't let her take a fourth. The PI's second report landed on my desk like a grenade with the pin already pulled. Elliot had titled it simply Current Exploitation, Kevin Powell. I locked the door, poured coffee I wouldn't drink, and opened the file. Page 1, a real estate listing. Kevin's Tempe condo, 2-bedroom granite counters, the one I'd co-signed for 5 years ago, listed 3 weeks after the wedding collapse. Asking price $385,000. Under contract in 4 days. Closing scheduled for next Friday. I stared at the photos. Kevin on the balcony in one grinning arm around a golden retriever puppy we'd never owned. The listing agent's note, motivated seller, quick close cash, preferred. Page 2, a resignation email from Kevin to his firm. Sent Monday 9:14 a.m. Subject immediate resignation effective today. Personal reasons. Thank you for the opportunities. Kevin Powell. No notice, no explanation. Just gone. Page 3, Arizona Corporation Commission filing. Serenity Wellness Holdings, LLC. Registered in Delaware, red flag number 1. Sole member Jessica Marie Simons. Kevin listed as manager, but with 0 ownership percentage. Business address, a virtual mailbox in Scottsdale. Purpose, luxury spa and wellness center. Elliot's notes in red lease signed in for 4,200 square 50 in Paradise Valley, $15,000 a month. Equipment quotes $180,000 massage tables, saunas, LED therapy. Renovation bids $120,000 plus marble floors, custom millwork. Total projected 500 kilograms. Kevin applying for $200K business loan using condo sale proceeds as collateral. Offshore account, Cayman's already open in LLC name. Jessica sole signatory. I felt the room tilt. I called the realtor, Kevin's friend from college, Mark. Mark, it's Charles Powell. Kevin selling, a long pause. Mr. Powell, he said it was for the baby. Needed a bigger place in Paradise Valley. Jessica found a house $850K. They're putting the condo proceeds as down payment. Kevin told you there's a baby, yeah, showed me the ultrasound, said you were difficult about it. I thanked him, hung up, and opened the ultrasound photo attached to Elliot's report. Walgreens logo in the corner. Date stamp the day Jessica was at a spa in Sedona. I drove to Kevin's complex. The for sale sign was gone. A moving truck idled out front. Kevin emerged carrying a box labeled kitchen. Fragile. He looked thinner, eyes hollow. I rolled down the window. Kevin. He froze, box trembling in his arms. Dad, you shouldn't be here. Your condo's sold. You quit your job. For what? A fake LLC. Jessica appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, watching. Kevin's voice was flat. It's not fake. Serenity Wellness is our future. Jessica's vision. We're partners. Read the filing, son. You're not a partner. You're a signature. Jessica walked over, took the box from him gently. Baby, let me handle this. She turned to me, smile sharp. Charles, we're busy. Please leave. Kevin hesitated, then followed her inside. I sat in my truck until the truck pulled away. The condo empty now. His home. Gone. That night I met Barbara at a quiet bar in Old Town. She slid into the booth, eyes scanning the report I'd printed. She's done this before, Barbara whispered. The LLC trick. With David Chen, the restaurant guy. He put $80K into a food truck concept. She vanished with the deposits. I showed her the offshore account. Barbara's hand covered her mouth. She's going to drain him. Everything. Then disappear. I forwarded the docs to Richard Clark. His reply, fraud in progress. We can freeze the condo sale if you act fast. File emergency injunction. Kevin's being defrauded. But Kevin would see it as another attack. I couldn't save him if he hated me more. Friday closing day, I drove to the title company, waited in the parking lot. Kevin arrived in Jessica's BMW, her driving him in the passenger seat, staring out the window like a ghost. They walked in. I followed. The escrow officer greeted them. Mr. Powell, Miss Simon, sign here for the wire instructions. Kevin signed. Mechanical. I stepped forward. Stop, heads turned. Dad, Kevin's voice cracked. This LLC is a shell. Jessica's the only owner. The money's going offshore. You're being robbed. Jessica laughed, light practiced. Charles, you're embarrassing yourself. Kevin, tell him. Kevin looked between us. Lost. The escrow officer shifted. Sir, this is a private closing. I slid Elliot's report across the table. Page 7, offshore account. Jessica's sole signatory. Page 9, previous victim, same LLC structure. Jessica snatched it. This is harassment. We're calling the police. Kevin took the report. Read, slowly. His hands shook. Jess, it says here I have 0% ownership. You told me 50-50. It's just legal structuring, baby. For taxes? Kevin looked at me. Really looked. You tried to warn me at the wedding, after. I called you a liar. I nodded. I know. He turned to the escrow officer. Hold the wire. I need time. Jessica grabbed his arm. Kevin, we talked about this. The spa is our dream. He pulled away. I need to think. He walked out. Didn't look back. Jessica followed, voice rising. I stayed. Watched the wire instructions freeze. The condo sale closed, but the funds went into escrow. Pending investigation. Kevin didn't answer my calls, but he didn't block me either. Progress. Painful, slow, but real. Tuesday, 2:13 a.m. I sat in the dark study, the only light the blue glow of my laptop. Anne's old desk chair creaked under me. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the thud of my own heart. I'd spent 3 days staring at the Serenity Wellness LLC filings, the offshore account, the $385,000 from Kevin's condo sale now frozen in escrow. Jessica was circling, pushing for the $200,000 business loan to unlock the rest. Kevin's application was in collateral, the condo proceeds. Approval pending. I couldn't let it happen. I drove to a public library in Mesa at noon, used a public computer, created a Proton Mail address, Citizen Watch, AZ at Proton. My email to citizenwatch.az@proton.me. No trace. Subject line fraud alert. Kevin Powell loan application, NAMART LP 8471, body to whom it may concern. The business partner, Jessica Marie Simons, has $43,000 in unpaid debt history of eviction and sole control of Serenity Wellness Holdings LLC Delaware Corp. Attached credit report redacted as SN LLC. Filing Jessica. 100% owner, Cayman Islands account, sole signatory, J. Simons. Prior victim statement, David Chen, 30K. Extracted via similar LLC. This is not a legitimate venture. Recommend full fraud review before disbursement. A concerned citizen. I attached everything Elliot had given me. Sanitized professional damning. Hit send. Logged out. Wiped the keyboard with my sleeve. Left. By 4:47 p.m., my phone buzzed Richard forwarding a bank email. Loan denied. High-risk reason, adverse credit history of co-applicant, offshore account red flags, inconsistent business structure. File closed. I exhaled for the first time in days. Wednesday, 6:22 p.m. Voicemail from Kevin. Voice raw furious. I know you did this. The bank called. Said someone sent anonymous documentation about Jessica. They rejected the loan. This is low even for you. I'm done pretending you care. He hung up. I played it twice. The anger was expected. The pain underneath knew. Thursday, Jessica called from Kevin's phone. Her voice sweet venom. Charles, we need to talk about boundaries. You're interfering with Kevin's business decisions. He's devastated. We had plans our future. You're destroying it. I didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. Deleted it. Friday, Barbara texted Jessica spiraling. Saw her at Target screaming at Kevin in the parking lot. He just stood there, took it. I replied, loan's dead. He's safe from the 200K. She sent back a single emoji. That night, I sat on the patio. Monsoon clouds rolled in, lightning flickering over the mountains. I opened my phone. No new messages, no blocked calls. Kevin hadn't reached out, but he hadn't vanished either. The money was safe. For now. Jessica's empire was cracking. And somewhere in the silence between the thunderclaps, I heard Anne's voice. You did the hard thing, Charles. Now wait. He'll come back when he's ready. I closed my eyes. Let the rain start. One battle won. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, I believed we might survive it. It started small. A shadow at the edge of my vision, a white BM idling across the street. I told myself it was coincidence. Phoenix is a small world when you have lived here 40 years. Monday, 7:42 a.m. My usual coffee shop on Camelback Press, coffee brick walls. Local art, the barista who knows I take mine black. I was in line when the door chimed. Jessica walked in, yoga mat under one-arm ponytail swinging. She smiled like we were old friends. Charles, what a surprise. Her voice carried. Heads turned. I kept my tone flat. Jessica. She stepped closer, voice low. We need to talk. Kevin's devastated about the loan. You're making everything harder. The barista handed me my cup. I took it, didn't move. Anything you have to say can be said through attorneys. Her smile didn't waver. This doesn't have to be war. I walked out. She followed to the sidewalk. Kevin loves me. You can't change that. I got in my truck. She stood there watching until I turned the corner. Tuesday, 11:15 a.m. Flagship store. I was with a supplier, swatches spread across the table, charcoal linen, slate velvet. Sarah buzzed me from the floor. Mr. Powell, there's a woman here. Says she's your son's fiancée. Jessica stood by the Italian leather sectional, running her fingers over the stitching like she was pricing it. Charles, perfect timing. She held up her phone. I'm redecorating. Thought I'd get your expert opinion. Customers glanced over. I gestured Sarah closer. Sarah, please join us. Jessica's eyes flicked to my manager witness. Her smile tightened. I just want to understand your inventory costs for the spa. Kevin's excited. I kept my voice low. Leave. Now. She leaned in, perfume sharp. You can't keep me from public places. Sarah stepped between us. Ma'am, I'll have to ask you to leave. Jessica left, but not before snapping photos of the price tags. Wednesday, 6:57 p.m. Dominic's Steakhouse. Business dinner with a vendor from Tucson. We were at a corner table, ribeyes coming, talking margins. The maitre d' approached. Mr. Powell, there's a woman at the bar. Says she knows you. Jessica. Red dress, alone. Martini in hand. She raised it in a mock toast. I excused myself, walked over. Enough, she sipped. I'm just having dinner. Public place. You're following me. Paranoid. She leaned closer. Kevin's spiraling. The loan denial broke him. He cries at night. Says you never loved him. My stomach twisted. Tell him the truth, Jessica, or I will. Her eyes flashed. Touch me, and I scream harassment. I returned to my table. The vendor asked if everything was okay. I lied. Thursday, 8:03 a.m. Coffee shop again. She was in line ahead of me. Ordered a latte extra foam. Turned. Charles, we have to stop meeting like this. Laughter in her voice. Fake. I didn't speak. Took my coffee, left. Friday, 12:22 p.m., store parking lot. I was loading samples into my trunk. Her BMW pulled up, blocking me. She rolled down the window. Kevin's talking about moving. Far away. Maybe California. Said he can't breathe here with you watching. I closed the trunk. Tell him I love him. She smiled, victorious. He doesn't want your love. He wants peace. She drove off. That night I installed cameras. Front door, driveway, back patio, motion activated, cloud storage. I texted Elliot. She's escalating, stalking. His reply, document everything. We add harassment to the file. Barbara called. She showed up at my library, asked if I'd talk sense into you. I told her to leave. She cried, said I abandoned her. I told her about the week. Barbara's voice was steel. She's desperate. Cornered animals bite. I saved every photo, every timestamp, every license plate. Jessica wanted me to crack. I wouldn't, because every time she appeared, Kevin was one step closer to seeing her for what she was, and I'd be waiting when he did. We sat at the same corner table, sunlight slicing through the blinds. Barbara arrived with the iPad still logged into Jessica's cloud. She slid it across like contraband. New text, she whispered. She's telling Kevin you hired someone to follow her, I scrolled. Jessica to Amanda, he's obsessed, stalking me. Kevin believes it now. Barbara's hand brushed mine as she pointed to a timestamp. A spark unexpected warm. I didn't pull away. We mapped strategy. Elliot would tail Jessica for 48 hours. I'd forward bank denials. Barbara would screenshot everything, but conversation drifted. She asked about Anne's favorite chair, the Eames lounger in my study. I told her how Anne read there every night, feet tucked under a quilt. Barbara smiled soft. My husband left when Jessica was 8. I read to her in a rocking chair until she outgrew it. Then she outgrew me. We parted with a plan and the first thread of something unspoken. Meeting 2, Thursday, 7 p.m. Phoenix Art Museum, members only hours. Barbara suggested the museum. Fewer eyes, she said. We met at the entrance, badges clipped. The Chihuly glass exhibit glowed blues and greens, swirling like desert storms. We walked slowly. She stopped at a Daryl Chihuly piece, saffron sea form. My mother took me to his exhibit in '98, she said. I was pregnant with Jessica. Thought beauty might rub off. I told her about Anne's cancer, how we'd driven to Sedona for her last clear day, sat on a red rock, watched the sun bleed into the canyons. Barbara's eyes filled. You still carry her, every day. We lingered in the sculpture garden. Night air cool. Crickets. She touched a bronze horse fingers, tracing the mane. I haven't been on a date in 20 years, she said suddenly. This isn't a date, I replied. She smiled. Good, I'm terrible at them. We left separately, but I watched her car until the taillights vanished. Meeting 3, Saturday after 6:30 p.m. Barbara's townhouse. She invited me over to review iPad backups. I brought takeout Thai from a place Anne loved. Barbara's homing was small, warm bookshelves, floor to ceiling, a worn Persian rug, photos of a younger Jessica smiling with missing teeth. We ate on the couch, containers balanced on knees. The iPad sat between us like a third guest. New evidence, Jessica researching how to fake a restraining order. Barbara's voice shook. She's weaponizing the system. I covered her hand. We'll stop her. Silence stretched. Comfortable. She didn't move her hand. Later, she showed me her garden roses, lantana, a lemon tree, heavy with fruit. Jessica hated dirt, she laughed, said it ruined her nails. I picked a lemon, rolled it in my palm. Anne grew herbs. Basil, rosemary, said cooking without them was just eating. Barbara leaned against the patio rail, moonlight on her face. I forgot what it feels like, she said quietly, to talk to someone who listens. I stepped closer. I forgot what it feels like to be heard. We didn't kiss, but the air between us changed, charged, alive. Meeting 4, Monday 8 p.m. My house after dark. Barbara texted Jessica, just left Kevin's. He's alone, crying in his car. I'm coming over. She arrived in pajamas under a cardigan, hair loose, eyes red. I poured 2 scotches. We sat on the patio, monsoon clouds gathering. She told me Kevin had called her first time in months. He said, I think I made a mistake, Barbara, then hung up. I showed her the latest from Elliot Jessica at a bar, the new man, older wedding ring, tan line. Caption on her story, new beginnings. Barbara's tears fell. She'll do it again and again. I pulled her into a hug. Instinct, not strategy. She fit against me like she'd always belonged there. We stood like that as thunder rolled. I'm tired of being afraid, she whispered. Me too. She looked up. I brushed a tear from her cheek. Our first kiss was soft, hesitant, then certain. Scotch and lemon and 8 years of loneliness melting into something new. We didn't sleep together. Not yet. But we sat on the couch until dawn, hands entwined, planning not just against Jessica, but for something. A future. When she left at sunrise, she kissed my cheek. Thank you for seeing me, she said. Thank you for letting me. I watched her drive away. For the first time since Anne, the house didn't feel empty. It felt like a beginning. The cafe smelled of roasted beans and orange zest. Barbara arrived first, already at the corner table with 2 black coffees steaming between us. She wore a linen blouse, hair pinned back, the iPad face down like a sleeping animal. Jessica posted at 2 a.m. Wham, she said without greeting. Kevin's devastated. Hashtag family over everything. I sat. She slid the iPad across. New screenshots, Jessica texting Amanda about making Charles pay for the loan denial. Barbara's finger brushed mine as she pointed to a line. A jolt, small, undeniable. Neither of us moved him. We planned I'd send Elliot the bar photos. She'd mirror Jessica's cloud nightly. But talk drifted. She asked about the empty chair beside my desk, Anne's. I told her how Anne used to balance the books there, humming Sinatra. Barbara smiled soft. My ex left when Jessica was 8. I read to her in a rocking chair until she said books were for babies. Then she stopped needing me. We left with a strategy and the first quiet spark. Meeting 2, Thursday 7 p.m., Phoenix Art Museum, members only hours. Barbara suggested the museum. No one listens in front of art. We met at the entrance, badges clipped. The Chihuly glass glowed blues, ambers, spirals of light. She stopped at saffron sea form. My mother brought me here pregnant. Thought beauty might seep into the baby. I told her about Anne's last trip to Sedona, how we sat on Cathedral Rock, her head on my shoulder, sun bleeding into the canyons. Barbara's eyes glistened. You still carry her, every day. In the sculpture garden, night air cool, she touched a bronze horse's mane. I haven't been touched in 20 years, she said suddenly. This isn't touching, I replied. She laughed, real unguarded. We left separately. I watched her taillights until they vanished. Meeting 3, Saturday 6:30 p.m. Barbara's townhouse. She texted, bring food. I cooked badly. I brought Tyann's favorite curry. Her home was small, warm, books floor to ceiling, a faded Persian rug, photos of a gap-toothed Jessica hugging a teddy bear. We ate on the couch, cartons balanced on knees. The iPad sat between us. New evidence, Jessica researching restraining order templates. Barbara's voice shook. She'll weaponize the system. I covered her hand. We'll stop her. Silence settled, comfortable. She didn't move her hand. Later, she showed me her garden roses, lantana, a lemon tree, heavy with fruit. Jessica hated dirt, said it ruined her manicure. I picked a lemon, rolled it in my palm. Anne grew basil, said cooking without it was just eating. Barbara leaned against the patio rail. Moonlight silvered her hair. I forgot what it feels like to talk without guarding every word. I stepped closer. I forgot what it feels like to be heard. We didn't kiss, but the space between us hummed. Meeting 4, Monday at 8 p.m. My house after dark. Barbara texted Kevin just called me, crying. Said I think I made a mistake, then hung up. Coming over. She arrived in pajamas under a cardigan, hair loose, eyes red. I poured 2 scotches. We sat on the patio, monsoon clouds gathering. She told me Kevin had seen Jessica at a bar with a new man, older wedding ring tan line. Barbara's tears fell. She'll do it again. I pulled her into a hug instinct. She fit against me like a missing piece, thunder rolled. I'm tired of being afraid, she whispered. Me too, she looked up. I brushed a tear from her cheek. Our first kiss was soft, hesitant, then certain. Scotch and lemon and 8 years of loneliness melting into something new. We didn't sleep together. Not yet. But we sat on the couch until dawn, hands entwined, planning not just against Jessica, but for something. A future. When she left at sunrise, she kissed my cheek. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for letting me. I watched her drive away. For the first time since Anne, the house didn't feel empty. It felt like a beginning. The certified envelope arrived on a Tuesday that felt like winter, even though the Phoenix sun blazed outside. Thick cream paper gold seal, the kind of stationery that screams money and malice. I slid it open in the kitchen, coffee cooling untouched. Superior Court of Arizona, Maricopa County, Jessica Marie Simons and Kevin James Powell, plaintiffs. Ver is Charles Edward Boudreau, defendant. Case number CV 2025-0917 for... I read the first line and the floor tilted. Complaint, $500,000 intentional infliction of emotional distress. Defamation per se. Tortious interference with business relations. Civil harassment. The narrative was a masterpiece of fiction, defendant motivated by jealousy and a desire to control his adult son. Fabricated audio recordings hired private investigators to stalk plaintiffs, anonymously sabotaged a legitimate business loan, and engaged in a campaign of harassment that destroyed plaintiffs' wedding reputation and future. As a direct result, plaintiffs suffered severe emotional trauma, lost income, and irreparable damage to their wellness venture. Kevin's signature sat at the bottom, shaky but there, next to Jessica's perfect cursive. I called Richard Clark. He answered on the first ring. Read it, every lie. Good. They're betting you'll settle to avoid Kevin testifying against you. We're not settling, he paused. Charles, Kevin signed this. You ready for what that means? I wasn't. That night, Barbara came over. We sat on the patio, lawsuit spread between us like a corpse. She traced Kevin's signature with one finger. He didn't write this, she said quietly. Look at the pressure, light, hesitant. Jessica guided his hand. I wanted to believe her. Wednesday, Jessica posted on Instagram, hospital wristband 40 in her arm, caption, stress from harassment landed me in the ER. Baby and I are okay, but we need justice. Hashtag stand with us, no bump, no ultrasound. 12,000 likes. GoFundMe now at $27,000. Thursday, Kevin's old coworker texted me a screenshot Jessica at a rooftop bar the night before the ER visit. Laughing, champagne flute raised. I forwarded everything to Richard. Friday, 9:00 a.m. Richard's office. He laid out our counterclaim, fraud, extortion, malicious prosecution, attached wedding recording, forensic metadata, PI report, 3 prior victims, offshore account, fake ultrasound, iPad, screenshots. We bury them, he said. But Kevin testifying against you? That'll hurt. I nodded. He already thinks I'm dead to him. What's one more grave? Saturday, I drove to Kevin's new apartment rented in Jessica's name, paid with condo escrow. Knocked. No answer. Left a letter. When I never wanted this. I wanted you safe. Read the counterclaim. Then decide who's lying. I love you. Always, Dad. Sunday, 3:14 a.m. A text from Kevin's number. Stop sending things. We're moving forward with the suit. You ruined everything. I stared at the screen until it went dark. Monday, Richard filed. The counterclaim hit the docket at 8:02 a.m. By 8:47, Jessica's GoFundMe was frozen, fraud flags. I sat in my office, blinds, half-drawn, Phoenix sun, slicing through like judgment. Kevin had chosen her. Again. But the truth doesn't need permission to win. It just needs time. And I had nothing left to lose. June 17th. Maricopa County Superior Court, 900 a.m. sharp. The air conditioning hummed like a nervous witness. I sat at the defense table beside Richard Clark, gray suit, calm eyes, briefcase full of knives. Barbara sat 3 rows behind me, hands folded, steady as granite. Kevin was absent. Jessica's choice, Richard said, keeps the jury sympathetic. Judge Morrison entered late 50s, sharp, no patience for theater. Counsel, let's keep this civil. Plaintiff's attorney Harlan Tate's slick hair, sharp smile called Jessica first. She took the stand in a modest navy dress, hair in a low bun, no makeup except mascara that made her eyes look fragile. The perfect victim. Miss Simons, in your own words, what happened on February 22nd? Jessica's voice trembled. Oscar-worthy, I fell in love with Kevin Powell. His father, Charles, was hostile from day one. He investigated my background, recorded a private joke about needing a house edited, it to sound threatening, and played it at our wedding in front of 200 guests. He destroyed the happiest day of my life. Kevin lost his job from stress. We lost savings. I miscarried 2 weeks later. Gasps rippled through the jury box. A grandmotherly juror dabbed her eyes. Tate handed her tissues, and the business loan Charles anonymously sabotaged it. Sent fake documents to the bank. We were building a wellness spa, our future. He ruined that too. Richard's cross-examination began gently. Miss Simons, how many men have you dated in the past 5 years who were significantly older and financially established? Objection. Relevance, Judge Morrison. I'll allow it. Answer. Jessica hesitated. 3, maybe 4. Richard projected a slide, LinkedIn, Instagram credit reports. Try 7. All 15, 20 years older. All with assets. All ended after you extracted money. Objection. Sustained. Richard pivoted. The wedding recording, do you claim it was fabricated? Yes. Edited, out of context. Richard played the full audio, uninterrupted, forensic metadata glowing on screen. Jessica's voice crystal clear. You're going to buy us that house full payment this week. Or I tell everyone I'm pregnant with your child. Jessica went white. That was a joke. Stress. Richard. A joke you repeated in writing. He showed text to Amanda. Get Kevin to sue Charles for emotional damages. Split whatever we win. Jessica. He paid them. All of them, Judge Morrison. Sit down, Miss Simons, Richard continued. Your credit report, $43,000 debt. Eviction, LLC with you as sole owner. Cayman account. Explain. Jessica stammered. Kevin knew it was for taxes. Richard called his first witness. Robert Green, mid-40s, expensive suit, shame in his eyes. He took the oath, voice low. Mr. Green, how did you meet Jessica Simons online? 2022. She was charming, vulnerable, said she'd been abused, needed help. Describe the relationship. 6 months. She said she was pregnant. Mine. Needed 100,000 to go away quietly, or she'd tell my ex-wife during a custody battle. I had a daughter, a reputation. I paid $75,000. Bank records flashed on screen. Wire transfer. Text, Jessica, wire it, or I tell everyone you raped me. Robert, please. I'll pay. Robert's voice cracked. 2 weeks later, miscarriage. She blocked me. I saw her in Vegas 3 months after with a new Rolex. Jessica stood. He's lying. Charles paid him. Judge Morrison banged the gavel. One more outburst and you're removed. Robert looked at the jury, pleading. I'm not proud. I paid to protect my daughter, but I won't let another man lose everything. Richard rested. Tate's redirect was desperate. Mr. Green, isn't it true you're being compensated? No. Just court fees. Court recessed for lunch. I stepped into the hallway. Barbara found me by the water fountain. She's unraveling, she whispered. Kevin's in the parking lot. Alone. I looked out the window. Kevin leaned against Jessica's BMW, head in hands. He saw me. Didn't move. I walked out. Son. He looked up, eyes red, face hollow. Dad. Those texts, the offshore account, the man on the stand. I know. She said you paid him, that it was all fake. I handed him the PI report, redacted but clear. Read it, then decide. Jessica burst through the doors. Kevin, don't listen. He stepped back. I need space. He got in the car, drove away. Jessica glared at me. This isn't over. Richard appeared. Phase 1 complete. Tomorrow, Michael Torres and David Chen via affidavit. Then the judge rules. I nodded. But my eyes stayed on the empty space where Kevin's car had been. The truth was winning, but my son was still losing. June 18th, day 2, courtroom 7B. The air smelled of polished wood and tension. I hadn't slept. Barbara had stayed until 3 a.m. We sat on the patio, hands entwined, watching monsoon clouds gather like judgment. She'd whispered, "Whatever happens, Kevin will see the truth today." I wanted to believe her. Judge Morrison entered at 900 sharp. Counsel proceed. Richard called Michael Torres via video affidavit 51, real estate investor, face lined with regret. Mr. Torres, describe your relationship with Jessica Simons. 4 months, 2020. She said she was pregnant. Mine. Needed $75,000 or she'd file assault charges and tell my partners. I paid $51,000 cash in a Starbucks parking lot. 2 weeks later, miscarriage. She vanished. I saw her in Cabo 3 months later with a new Birkin. Bank records, texts, photos of the bag. Jessica's attorney, Harlan Tate, objected. Hearsay, Judge Morrison overruled. Continue. Next, David Chen, restaurant owner, live in court. 5 months, 2019. She cried in my office, said her landlord was evicting her. She was pregnant, needed $50,000. I paid in installments. Final wire, miscarriage. She blocked me. Opened a new Instagram the next week. New beginnings in Sedona. Richard projected the pattern. 3 men, $155,000, extracted identical playbook. Jessica stood. They're all lying. Charles paid them. Judge Morrison's gavel cracked like thunder. Remove the plaintiff if there's another outburst. Tate's closing was desperate. This is a loving couple sabotaged by a controlling father. The recording was edited. The business was legitimate. Richard's closing was quiet steel. Your Honor, the evidence is unassailable. Audio forensic metadata proves authenticity. LLC, Jessica sole owner, offshore account, sole signatory, credit $43K debt, eviction lawsuits. Victims, 3 sworn statements, bank records, texts. Ultrasound, Walgreens timestamp during a spa day in Sedona. This lawsuit is not distress, it's extortion. Part of a 5-year pattern. He turned to the jury. Though it was a bench trial, Morrison had allowed them for optics. Dismiss with prejudice. Award costs. Refer Miss Simons for criminal investigation. Silence. Judge Morrison removed her glasses, rubbed her eyes. I've seen fraud. I've seen grief. This is neither. This is predation. Jessica went white. Plaintiff's complaint is dismissed with prejudice. Miss Simons to pay defendant's legal costs, $47,000. Matter referred to the Maricopa County Attorney for investigation into fraud, extortion, and conspiracy. Gavel. Jessica stood slow, mechanical. This is a miscarriage of justice. Morrison deputy escort her out. Kevin entered, then late disheveled eyes red. He'd been in the hallway. Heard everything. Jessica grabbed his arm. Baby, we can appeal. Kevin pulled away, looked at me. Really looked. Jessica, the offshore account, the fake pregnancy. Robert was crying. We have to stay together. You and me against the world. He stepped back. There is no world, just lies. He turned to me, voice broken. Dad, I'm sorry I couldn't speak. Just opened my arms. He walked into them, first hug in 8 months. He sobbed against my shoulder like he had at 8 when his goldfish died. Jessica stormed out. Tate followed, briefcase flapping. Outside in the hallway, Barbara found us. Kevin hugged her, too awkward, then real. Richard approached smiling. He's wavering. Give it time. But Kevin looked at me. I need to think. I need space. He walked to Jessica's BMW mechanical. Got in the passenger seat. She drove away. I stood in the empty hallway, recorder still warm in my pocket. The legal war was over. Jessica was exposed, cornered, referred for prosecution. But Kevin still drove away with her, and that was the only victory that truly mattered. Yet, the courthouse doors slammed shut behind us like a judge's gavel. June heat shimmered off the asphalt. Richard was triumphant. Barbara hugged me, public propriety, private relief. Then I saw Kevin. He stood alone by a parking meter suit jacket slung over one arm, tie loosened. He looked like a man who'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Jessica was 20 feet away, back-turned voice rising on her phone. I approached slowly. Son, he looked up. For the first time in 6 months, he saw me not through Jessica's lies, not through his own anger, but truly. His voice cracked. Those men, the offshore account, the fake pregnancy, was any of it real? I wanted to lie. To say yes, the baby was real, she loved you, it was just a mistake. But I chose truth. I don't think so, Kevin. The PI found evidence she researched you before you met. Your salary, my business, everything. She chose you deliberately. He sagged against the meter. I quit my job for her, sold my apartment, sued my own father. For someone who just called me an idiot, who was never pregnant, who was never anything real. I moved closer. You weren't blind, Kevin. You were manipulated by a professional. There's a difference. I lost everything. I have nothing. I am nothing. I pulled him into a hug, the first in 8 months. You have me. You've always had me. That never changed, not once. He broke then, sobbing against my shoulder like he hadn't since he was 8 and fell off his bike. I held him as the desert sun baked us both. Jessica's voice cut across the lot. Kevin, we're leaving now. No more sweet manipulation. Just command. She strode over, grabbed his arm. Don't listen to him. Your father paid those men to lie. It's all a setup. We can appeal. Kevin pulled his arm back, slowly, deliberately. Jessica, they had bank records, text messages. That man was crying on the stand. Baby, he was acting. Your father has money. He can make people say anything. Kevin looked between her and me. His face was a battlefield. Finally, quietly, I need to think. I need space. Jessica's mask slipped just for a second. Pure calculation. No love. Then it returned. Of course, baby. Let's go home and talk. Just us. He walked to her car, movements mechanical, like a puppet with half its strings cut. Barbara's hand found mine. Richard approached. He's wavering. Give it time. Reality doesn't sink in instantly. I nodded, but the hollow feeling remained. I'd proved everything in court, exposed Jessica completely, won the legal battle. But Kevin still drove away with her, and that was the only victory that truly mattered. Mid-July, Phoenix baked under monsoon threats. The courtroom victory felt hollow. Kevin still gone, Jessica still whispering poison. I was reviewing a furniture delivery when Elliot called. I've got something. Urgent. Screenshots filled my screen. Jessica texting Brian Miller, Kevin's old business partner. The one Kevin cut ties with over ethics. Jessica. The old man has money Kevin technically invested years ago. We can claim he never returned it. Add interest, make it look like embezzlement. Brian, I can create backdated contracts, fake bank statements. Meet me at Dominic's Steakhouse tomorrow, 7 p.m. Bring $5K cash for the docs. Cold fury flooded me. After losing in court, facing $47,000 in judgments, impossible fraud charges. This was her last play. I called Richard and Barbara to my dining table that night. Laptop open, messages glowing. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, Richard said. Call police now, they'd arrest them on the spot. I shook my head. Kevin needs to see it. Hear it from her mouth. Otherwise, she'll say it was entrapment. Or I set it up. Barbara touched my hand. You're going to bring Kevin there. Show him who she really is when she thinks he can't hear. Exactly. Can you get him there without Jessica knowing Amanda owes me? She's starting to see what Jessica is. I think she'll help. Thursday, 6:30 p.m., I texted Kevin from a burner. Kevin, it's Dad. Please don't delete. I need to talk. Not about Jessica. About your mother, something I should have told you years ago. Dominic's Steakhouse tonight, 7 p.m. I'll wait 1 hour. The mention of Anne was calculated. Kevin always wondered about the details I kept private. 3 hours later, I'll be there. 7:15. If this is a trick, I'm done forever. I coordinated with the manager and old customer. Private booth. Clear sight line to table 14. I arrived at 6:45. Corner booth, high backs, invisible from table 14. At 7:00, Jessica and Brian were seated. She wore business casual, serious meeting attire. Brian had a slick briefcase. They ordered drinks. Brian pulled out folders. They've created everything. Investment contracts from 5 years ago, Kevin put 85,000 into Powell Furniture. Letters requesting return, your father ignoring them. Jessica examined them, smiling. These look perfect. When Kevin sees these, he'll have to sue again. His father will settle rather than face embezzlement charges. At 7:12, Kevin walked in. Scanning for me, I texted, "Don't come to my table yet. Look right. Table 14, just listen." He froze. Spotted Jessica. She continued, oblivious. Kevin's such an easy mark. He believes everything I tell him. "I love you, baby. Your father's the enemy." Pathetic how desperate he is to be loved. Brian laughed. "You've milked him for 6 months. No job, no apartment. Sold everything almost dry. This forgery is the last play. We get Charles to settle for $200,000, $1,000. I take 30%. You pay off court costs. Disappear." "What about the kid?" Jessica's laugh was ice. "Please. There was never a kid. That idiot believed it without seeing a test." I watched Kevin from across the restaurant. His knees buckled. He grabbed a pillar for support. Jessica kept going. "The wedding recording was my only mistake. Should have checked for devices. But even after that, Kevin stayed. They always stay longer than you expect. Men like Kevin Daddy issues isolated, desperate for validation. You tell them what they want to hear. They hand over everything." Kevin turned. Saw me. Everything Jessica said, every lie, every calculation was visible in his eyes. I nodded toward the exit. He walked out, moving like a man underwater. I followed. I arrived at 6:45. Dominic's Steakhouse smelled of mesquite and aged whiskey, the kind of place where deals are made and hearts are broken. The manager, an old customer, had reserved me a private booth with high backs, invisible from table 14, but with a clear sight line through a narrow gap in the velvet curtain. I ordered a club soda, no ice. My hands needed to stay steady. At 7:00 sharp, Jessica and Brian Miller walked in. She wore a charcoal blazer over a silk camisole, business, not seduction. Brian carried a leather briefcase like a prop from a bad movie. They were seated exactly where Elliot's tip said they would be. I texted Kevin from the burner. "Don't come to my table yet. Look right. Table 14, just listen." At 7:12, he appeared in the doorway, tie loosened, eyes scanning. He spotted me, then froze when he saw Jessica. I watched the color drain from his face. Jessica's voice carried just enough through the murmur of the restaurant. "These look perfect," she said, flipping through folders. Backdated contracts. Kevin invested 85,000 in Powell Furniture 5 years ago. Letters demanding return with interest. Charles ignoring them. Brian grinned. When Kevin sees these, he'll have to sue again. His father will settle to avoid embezzlement charges. We asked for 200K. I take 30%. You pay off the 47K judgment. Then you disappear. Jessica leaned in, voice low but clear. "Kevin's such an easy mark. He believes everything I tell him. I love you, baby. Your father's the enemy." Pathetic how desperate he is to be loved. Brian laughed. "You've milked him dry. No job, no apartment. Sold everything for the wedding. This forgery is the last play." "What about the kid?" Brian asked. Jessica's laugh was pure ice. "Please. There was never a kid. That idiot believed it without seeing a test." I watched Kevin across the room. His knees buckled. He grabbed a brass pillar for support, knuckles white. Jessica kept going, oblivious. "The wedding recording was my only mistake. Should have checked for devices. But even after that, Kevin stayed. They always stay longer than you expect. Men like Kevin Daddy issues isolated, desperate for validation. You tell them what they want to hear. They hand over everything." Kevin turned, saw me through the curtain gap. His eyes, once bright with hope, were hollow, shattered. I nodded toward the exit. He walked out like a man underwater, each step deliberate, mechanical. I followed, leaving cash on the table. Outside, the parking lot was lit by sodium lamps, heat still radiating from the asphalt. Kevin leaned against a silver sedan, face in his hands. Not crying, beyond tears. "Son," his voice came muffled. "You tried to tell me. At the wedding, after court, in every letter, I called you jealous, controlling, bitter. You were in love, or what you thought was love. She's very good at this. I sold my apartment, quit my job, sued my own father for someone who just called me an idiot, who was never pregnant, who was never real. You weren't blind, you were manipulated by a professional. There's a difference. I lost everything. I have nothing. I pulled him into a hug the second in 2 days, but this one different. He didn't resist, just sagged against me, all fight gone. Inside, police officers approached table 14. I'd called them before Kevin arrived. Forgery documents. Conspiracy on audio. My phone had recorded everything through the curtain gap. Open fraud referral. Jessica tried to run, nowhere to go. Brian arrested beside her briefcase, spilling fake contracts across the tablecloth. By morning, Jessica fled Phoenix on bail, skipped town, left the $47,000 judgment unpaid. I didn't pursue her. She was out of Kevin's life. That was enough. Kevin didn't speak on the drive to my house, just stared out the window, the city lights blurring past. When we pulled into the driveway, he finally whispered I kept one of her voicemails, the one after the wedding, where she said I was pathetic, desperate. I listened to it sometimes, to remember. I started to speak, but he held up a hand, not to punish myself, to remind myself what I survived, what we survived. He looked at me, really looked. You let me hate you, sue you, cut you off, and you never stopped. That's what fathers do. He nodded, slowly. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm just glad you're here. We walked inside. The house smelled of lemon polish and possibility. I made coffee. He drank it black like me. We sat at the kitchen island silence, comfortable for the first time in months. Outside, monsoon clouds rolled in thunder, rumbling like distant applause. The truth had finally caught up, and Kevin, my son, was home. The desert night pressed hot against the windows of Dominic's steakhouse, even at 8:30. Inside, the low hum of conversation and clinking silverware had turned to chaos. Two uniformed officers moved between the tables with quiet authority. A third stood by the hostess stand, hand resting on his radio. I watched from the edge of the dining room, half hidden by a potted ficus phone still recording in my pocket. Jessica's voice rose first, sharp, panicked. This is harassment. We're just having dinner. Brian Miller tried to stand. An officer placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Sir, stay seated. The briefcase lay open like a gutted fish. Fake contracts, forged bank statements, and a thick envelope of cash spilled across the white tablecloth. Jessica lunged for the envelope. An officer intercepted her wrist. Ma'am, step back. Kevin stood 10 feet away near the pillar he'd gripped minutes earlier. His face was ash. I crossed the room in 4 strides. Son? He didn't move. Just stared as Jessica was cuffed, hands behind her back blazer, riding up, mascara streaking. Brian followed, muttering about lawyers. Jessica's eyes found Kevin. Baby, tell them this is a mistake. Your father set this up. Kevin's voice came out flat, lifeless. I heard everything. The officer guiding Jessica paused. Ma'am, anything you say? She ignored him. Kevin, listen to me. We can still fix this. The house, the spa, there was never a baby, Kevin said. The words hung in the air like smoke. Jessica's mouth open, closed. For the first time, no script. An officer led her toward the exit. She twisted, heels scraping. Kevin, don't let him win. Brian was already in the patrol car outside, head down. Kevin walked out first. I followed. The parking lot smelled of rain and hot asphalt. Monsoon clouds stacked like bruises overhead. Kevin stopped beside a silver sedan rental, I realized. Jessica's BMW was blocked by a police cruiser. He leaned against the car, hands braced on the hood, shoulders shaking. I reached him. Kevin. He turned, eyes red but dry. I believed her. Every word. For months, I know. I sold my home, quit my job, sued you for her. I pulled him into a hug. He resisted for half a second, muscle memory, then collapsed against me. His breath hitched, ragged. You tried to save me, he whispered into my shoulder, and I hated you for it. You were hurting. She gave you someone to blame. He pulled back, wiped his face with the heel of his hand. I heard her laugh about the baby, like it was a punchline. Thunder rumbled. The first fat raindrops splattered the asphalt. Police lights painted the lot red and blue. Jessica was loaded into the back of a cruiser. She banged on the window. Kevin. He didn't look. I kept my arm around his shoulders. You're not alone anymore. He nodded, small, broken. I don't know who I am without her. You're my son. That's enough to start. Rain fell harder. We stood there soaked as the cruisers pulled away. Jessica's silhouette shrank in the rear window, then vanished around the corner. Kevin exhaled a sound like surrender. I kept her voicemail, the one where she called me pathetic. I listened to it every night to punish myself. I squeezed his shoulder. You don't need punishment. You need healing. He looked at me, really looked. Take me home, Dad. We got in my truck. The wipers beat a steady rhythm. Kevin stared out the window, rain streaking the glass like tears he couldn't shed. Halfway home, he spoke again. I blocked you, deleted your letters, told you you were dead to me. I know, you never stopped, never will. He leaned his head against the window. I'm sorry, I'm just glad you're here. We pulled into the driveway. The porch light glowed. Barbara had left it on. Inside, the house smelled of lemon and coffee. Kevin paused in the foyer, looking at Anne's china cabinet like he was seeing it for the first time. I miss this place, he said. I hung his wet jacket. Guest room's yours, as long as you need. He nodded. Then quieter, I start therapy tomorrow. First appointment's at 9. I smiled, small, proud. I'll drive you. Outside, the rain softened. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. Life, ordinary, beautiful life moving forward. Jessica was gone. The lies were over, and my son was home. Kevin moved in the day after the arrest. One duffel bag, no furniture, no pride. Just the weight of 6 months of lies pressing on his shoulders. I gave him the guest room. Anne's old sewing room converted years ago. Sunlight through the east window, a queen bed with the quilt she'd made from his baby clothes. He stood in the doorway, bag at his feet. I don't deserve this, he said. You deserve a place to heal. He nodded, dropped the bag, didn't unpack. Week 1 therapy. First session 9 a.m. Dr. Elena Marquez, trauma specialist. I drove him, sat in the waiting room with stale coffee and outdated magazines. He emerged 45 minutes later, eyes red but lighter. She said I have complex grief from Mom, from Jessica, from me. I didn't push, just drove home, made pancakes. He ate week 2. The voicemail. He kept it on an old phone, Jessica's voice cold and mocking. You're pathetic, desperate. No one will ever love you like I do. He played it on loop in his room at night. I heard it through the walls. One morning I found the phone on the kitchen counter, screen cracked, battery dead. I deleted it, he said. Didn't want to hear her anymore. I nodded, didn't smile, just made coffee. Week 3, job hunt. He updated his resume at the dining table, Anne's old spot. I sat across pretending to read inventory reports. 5 years at the same firm, he muttered. Then Serenity Wellness. Looks like a joke. It's not a joke. It's a detour. He applied to 3 junior project manager roles. No callbacks. I offered the showroom. Start part-time, inventory, sales floor, whatever you want. He shook his head. I need to earn it, not inherit it. I respected that. Week 4, Barbara. She came for dinner, first time since the arrest. Brought lemon bars, Anne's recipe from a card in my drawer. Kevin hugged her at the door, awkward, then real. You helped save me, he said. I helped save us, she replied. We ate on the patio, monsoon season ending, sky clear, stars sharp. Barbara asked about therapy. Kevin answered, honest, halting. I thought love meant surrender, giving everything, being needed. Jessica taught me that. Dr. Marquez is teaching me it means boundaries, respect, choice. Barbara smiled. You're learning fast. Week 6, first interview. A smaller real estate firm in Chandler, entry level. He wore the navy suit from the wedding, now loose on his frame. I waited in the truck. He emerged after 30 minutes, face unreadable. Well, they want a second interview, said I was authentic. I grinned. That's my boy. Week 8, the nightmare, 17 a.m. I woke to screaming. His room. I ran in. He thrashed in bed, soaked in sweat. Jessica, don't. Please. I shook him awake. Kevin, you're home. You're safe. He gasped, clutched my arm like a child. I dreamed she came back, said I belonged to her, that I'd never leave. I sat on the bed, held him until his breathing slowed. You left. You're here. That's what matters. He nodded, fell back asleep against my shoulder. Week 10. Offer the Chandler firm called. 72,000 base. Benefits start in 2 weeks. He accepted on speakerphone. Voice steady. That night he cooked first time in months, spaghetti carbonara. Anne's recipe. Slightly overcooked, but edible. We ate at the dining table. China plates. Candles. I start Monday, he said. I'm proud of you. He looked down. I'm proud of us. Week 12. The letter, Jessica's trial date set. Fraud. Extortion. Conspiracy. Brian Flip testified for a deal. Kevin wrote her a letter. Didn't send it. You taught me what love is, and thank you for that. I'm done. He burned it in the backyard fire pit. Watched the ashes rise. Month 4. Barbara and me. We'd been dating quietly. Coffee, museums, dinners, no labels. One night after Kevin's therapy, she stayed. We sat on the patio, wine, crickets. He asked if we're together, she said. What did you tell him that we're figuring it out? Like he is. I took her hand. I'd like to keep figuring. She smiled. Me too. Month 6, Kevin moves out. Not far, a 1-bedroom in Tempe. His own lease, his own furniture, secondhand but chosen. He packed the duffel, added a framed photo, him, me, Barbara at the Grand Canyon. First trip post-recovery. At the door, he hugged me strong, certain. I'm not ready to lose you again, he said. You never did. He left. Truck loaded. New job. New life. I stood on the porch until his taillights vanished. Barbara joined in me, hand in mine. He'll be okay, she said. We all will. Inside the house was quieter, but not empty. It was full of second chances. Late August, the monsoon rains had finally broken, leaving Phoenix scrubbed clean and shimmering. I stood in my backyard, our backyard now, string lights twinkling above the patio. 20 close friends gathered around a long table set with Anne's china. The same plates that had once hosted Jessica's appraisal now held laughter, grilled steaks, and second chances. Barbara wore a simple blue dress, her gray hair catching the golden hour light. She was radiant, not in the calculated way Jessica had been, but in the quiet, earned way of someone who'd survived her own storms. Kevin stood beside me, healthy weight, returning eyes clear. He'd started a new job 2 weeks ago, junior project manager at a smaller real estate firm. Not the dream, but a beginning. He tapped his glass with a spoon, the sound cutting through the chatter. I need to say something. The table quieted, all eyes on him. For months, I thought my father was the enemy, controlling, jealous, trying to ruin my happiness. His voice was steady, but I heard the tremor beneath. I called him bitter. I sued him. I told him he was dead to me. He looked at me, really looked. But the truth is, sometimes the biggest act of love is saying no when everyone else says yes. It's standing between someone you love and danger, even when they hate you for it. He raised his glass higher. Dad, you saved my life. You let me hate you, sue you, cut you off, and you never stopped trying to protect me. That's not control. That's love. My throat tightened. I managed a nod. So thank you for not giving up, even when I gave up on you. He turned to the table. To Charles and Barbara, 2 people who know that real love means telling hard truths and standing firm when everything says to walk away. Glasses clinked. Applause rippled. Barbara's hand found mine under the table, warm and sure. Kevin grinned at her. About time, Dad. She's way too good for you. Barbara laughed, the sound bright and unguarded. He's growing on me. I looked around. My son restored. A woman I loved beside me. A future built on the ruins of a lie. The revenge wasn't destroying Jessica. It was this. Later, the 3 of us sat on the porch as the desert night cooled. Crickets chirped. A light rain rare for Phoenix pattered on the roof. Kevin leaned back in his chair, beer in hand. I got an offer today, he said. Full-time. Benefits. They want me to lead a project in Scottsdale. Barbara smiled. That's wonderful. He looked at me. I'm not ready to move out yet. But soon. Take your time, I said. This is your home. He nodded. Then quieter, I kept one of her voicemails. The one after the wedding, where she said I was pathetic, desperate. I listened to it sometimes. To remember, I started to speak, but he held up a hand, not to punish myself, to remind myself what I survived, what we survived. Barbara reached across, squeezed his knee. You're not the man she targeted anymore. No, he said. I'm not. The rain softened. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. Life, ordinary, beautiful life, moving forward. I looked at Barbara, at Kevin. At the home, we were rebuilding one truth at a time. Jessica was gone. The lawsuit was over. The money didn't matter. This table, this rain, this family was the victory. And for the first time in years, I wasn't just maintaining, I was living.